Hello YouTube, it's Big Steve here again. Two videos in one day, what is going on? All right guys, so make sure you got yourself comfortable, make sure you got a drink or something. We're going to have a discussion. Obviously it's going to be rather one-sided, but I want to hear your thoughts on what I'm about to say in the comments, and I will do my best to respond to them as well. So let's get comfortable. What I want to talk about now, this is a video that I've been saying I was going to make for a while now and just never actually gotten around to making it until now. But it's been really hot here in the UK this last week or so. My room's been like a sauna, and I thought let's just make some videos. It's a bit cooler today, and this is a video I've been really wanting to make. So you've probably noticed that I've not been making much content recently. I've not really been streaming. I've been putting a few videos out on Twitter and some tweets and photos. And make sure you are following me on Twitter at Big Steve Gaming. That is the best place to keep up with me and communicate and whatnot. But in terms of actual content, I've not really been doing that much, and there is a reason for that, and that's what I want to talk about. And so now, before I get too deep into this, first of all, I need to make this clear because this is the world that we live in now. These are my thoughts. These are my opinions. You don't have to agree with me. I'm sure a lot of you won't. But it doesn't, I'm not trying to say I'm right and anyone's wrong or anything like that. This is just how I feel. This is just my opinion and what I see and what, I'm 42 years of age, so I'm probably older than a lot of you. So, maybe I'm just an old timer now or, whatnot. I don't know. But here we go. So video games, and it's not just video games we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about movies. We're going to talk about TV shows, because these are all three things that I'm, very passionate about, or at least have been most of my life as forms of entertainment. But video games are obviously my number one. So let's get into that first. So the reason why I'm just not enjoying video games and haven't been for several years now, and that's why I've not been streaming them much, is because the only way I can think of saying it is they are just shit. And I don't mean they're, bad in the sense that, they're not well programmed, or they're not, fun to play. I know that, there's a lot of work that goes into a lot of these games, and a lot of people enjoy playing them. And that's great. And if you're one of those people that loves the video games that are coming out now and you enjoy playing it, that's great. Carry on. I'm kind of jealous. But for myself and for other people that I know, friends, the problem with video games is it feels like they are definitely, obviously the video game industry now is so big. I think it's even bigger than the movie industry now. So everything is about money. Especially with the bigger games. Obviously you do have indie games that are made, smaller companies, or even, one person might make a game and they're about passion, and that's wonderful. And if I'm completely honest, although they are wonderful and they're great, and I'd encourage anyone to do it, I never play those type of games. So that's on me. That's not, that's not me saying those games are bad or anything like that. It's just they're not for me. I like the more, not necessarily always AAA, but I like the bigger games. The games that I have been playing over the years, or most recently, are FIFA, World of Warcraft, and Dead by Daylight. Those are probably my three main games that I rotate to in recent years. So what should we talk about first? Let's talk about World of Warcraft first, because that's a huge game. That's been going now for nearly 2 decades. And I played that when it first came out, about 6 to 8 months after it first came out. And it still to this day is, in my opinion, one of the best video games out there in terms of you log into World of Warcraft and it feels like you are logging into another world. The immersion is fantastic. But the problem is, and I can already tell I'm thinking about how to say what I want to say in advance, because I'm so worried in this day and age about slipping up or saying the wrong thing. And, before you know it, you're cancelled, before you even wake up the next day. But obviously we know what's been going on with Blizzard. They're the Blizzard Activision. They're the people that make World of Warcraft. We know they've had a lot of trouble recent times with lawsuits, sexual harassment, and obviously all that stuff is terrible. Like, no one should have to go to work and, be in any kind of fear of being assaulted physically or mentally or anyway by anyone, let alone their bosses or anything like that. So I don't condone any of that at all. But here's my thoughts on this, and this is just my thoughts, guys, right? But I do feel that a lot of these dickheads that do this stupid shit, like abusing other colleagues and stuff like that, I do feel like they are the kind of gamer people, and they do know how to make good video games. They just don't know how to act like fucking decent human beings, which is a big problem. But so here's the problem. It then gets really bad, and these people obviously have to be fired. I mean, obviously. And then they get replaced with sensible, more mature businessmen that can conduct themselves, not just businessmen, businesswomen, obviously, but, people that can basically conduct themselves properly in a business environment. But the trouble is with that, they don't know how to make video games. So we either end up with good video games made by complete immature dickheads that can't go 5 minutes without, abusing a colleague, or we end up with a terrible video game that is made under the supervision of somebody that doesn't know anything about video games and what we consider fun, but just knows about making money and the bottom line and the shareholders and all this kind of thing. And I think we've definitely seen that with World of Warcraft, and I think other video games as well, probably. And I don't know. I mean, this is just my thoughts on it. So, but video games definitely seem to be much more about making money now and profit, and less about the fun aspect for the player base. And obviously they have to make money, right? They're not people that, especially these big AAA titles, they're not doing these video games as a service to keep us all occupied. They're a business. They want to make money. But the problem is they're not going to, you've only got to look at the WoW subscriptions over the years. I mean, nobody's playing retail World of Warcraft right now. They're all playing this classic hardcore stuff, which, or the new Diablo game, which is going to be, fun for 5 minutes. And again, people are enjoying that, but no one's going to be playing Diablo in 6 months' time. It's not that kind of game, I think it's a linear game that you play the story. It has some replayability, but as soon as the next big game drops, people will drop Diablo and be done with it, and that's that. Now, I played Dragonflight, which is the most recent World of Warcraft expansion. I played that when it first dropped, and it was great. It was a breath of fresh air. It was the best content we've had in World of Warcraft for a long time. But and I played the entirety of season 1 regular. I was only doing PvP. I can't be bothered raiding anymore. I can't be bothered doing dungeons or any. It's just too convoluted having to find people, communicate, and having to pin yourself down to certain times when you can do this and that. I couldn't be bothered. I just want to play, on my own, when I want, how I want. So PvP was great. And I did, especially with the new solo shuffle that they've introduced, so you can actually do rated PvP without a team. That was ideal. And I enjoyed season 1. I mean, it wasn't perfect, all right, but it was a lot better than what we've had from World of Warcraft in multiple years. And then season 2 came out, and I had no interest. I played it for a couple days, and you see everyone stopped playing it. And I'm thinking, why? Because I can't sit here now and say it's bad because of this or it's bad because of that. It's not like one thing, but it really just feels like a copy and paste of season 1. And if you go back to what I was saying about the people that are, making video games now, or at least supervising the people that are, it's about the money. And the quickest way to make money in business is when you've got something that is selling well, you just copy and paste it and sell it again. It's free money. And that's what World of Warcraft feels like now. They've done nothing with PvP. They blatantly either don't care about PvP or they just don't have the resources to do anything with it. And yeah, sure, we've got, new quests and new continuation of the storyline. You've got this new renowned for the Niven or whatever they're called, but I didn't even finish all the reputation for the first 4 factions that we had. And yes, it's cool for those people that want to do it and grind out these cloaks and little cosmetics and stupid toys and things like that. If you're into that, that's great. But I don't know. There's nothing that makes me want to log in every single day and play it, because right now I'll tell you that we've got the new traders post in World of Warcraft, and that's actually quite a cool idea. I know there's rumors now about the tenders being maybe put on the store. People are worried about. I'll be honest with you, I don't actually care about that, because if there is, like now, there's a couple of mounts in the traders post that I actually want to get, and I've got 5 or 6 days left to be able to grind out my coins or tenders or whatever they're called, so that I can buy them. And I just can't be bothered because it's just too much ball ache. There's no fun way to grind them. So if I could just go in the store, drop 10, 20 quid or whatever and buy the tenders so that I could get the mounts that I want and not have to actually play the video game, I probably would. Because I might want to play WoW again in 6 months or 12 months or the next expansion. And, if that's the case, I want to use that mount, and obviously a lot of it is, fear of missing out and things like that as well. But so, personally, I don't have a huge problem with it going on the store, but I understand why some people do, especially if you don't like spending extra money on video games, which, that's a personal decision. But yeah, so that's the problem with World of Warcraft, right? But other than that, there's a lot of things with WoW that are actually quite good, and other video games, could probably learn from. But let's talk about another game that I used to play, which I still do play from time to time, which is Dead by Daylight. And I play that with my friends, and that's the only reason why I even play that game now, is because it's a game that I can play with my friends. We log on, and we play Survivor. You can have, there's 4 of us, and we've got a whole group. We're on Discord, and we have a laugh. But only because I'm playing with my friends. The actual game is nowhere near like it was. It's not. Now, this all kind of started back when they turned on MMR, right? Now, MMR is another thing that I think is killing video games. Now, in theory, MMR should be great. MMR should really help video games, because it should... for those that don't know, MMR is matchmaking rating or skill-based matchmaking, whatever you know it as. It should be great for games because it should match you with players of your skill level to make the games fair and even. But it doesn't work because you get a lot of people that cheese their MMR by smurfing, which is making like another account and deliberately lowering their MMR so they can get easier games or things like that. And the actual implementation of the MMR itself it seems to just be not done very well. So you end up with just like when me and my friends are playing Dead by Daylight, we get 2 types of games generally. The majority of the games we get are going against killers that are better than us, that are sweating, trying to get the 4K, and the game is just no fun whatsoever. We hardly get to do anything. We just all end up dead, and it's like whatever. And then eventually we'll get a game where we go against somebody that's probably a new player or just, not very good, whatever. And then we end up just basically holding mouse 1 on generators for a couple of minutes and then all getting out. And that's not fun either. And every now and again, we might get a game where we actually go against a killer of our combined kind of skill level, which is a fair and kind of close game. But those games are very few and far between. It's usually one of the other 2, which is... so I don't know. So I think Dead by Daylight could instantly be a much better game just by turning off MMR. I think that would fix that and make it not perfect, but it would at least make the game a lot more like it was before, where you get some games where you're going to lose, you get some games where you're going to win, and a lot of in between. It's varied. You don't know what you're going to get. But I just don't know where the developers' heads are at with that game. I don't know if they listen to the community or not. I honestly don't, because most of the community around Dead by Daylight, I mean, I don't know. I don't get too involved with the community. I don't really speak to them much, but from what I see and hear, seems like it's a very toxic community. The only thing that I've noticed from talking and interactions that I have had is I don't think people quite understand how the game works in sense of like balance and MMR. Most people will tell you that the game is not heavily survivor sided, and that, you know, killers need nerf in here, and, you know, this, that, and the other. Now, I'm not an expert, I'm not a game developer, but I can tell you now, for those of you that want to take my word for it, Dead by Daylight is heavily survivor sided. The reason why you don't necessarily realize that is because it only really shows at the very highest level. And when I say the highest level, I mean you have to imagine the best players in the world, right? The best survivors going against the best killer. That's when you can see the imbalances in Dead by Daylight, and it has to be the best players, because in order to see how balanced a video game is, you need both sides to be playing the game as perfectly as possible, because you can't judge the balance if people are making mistakes left, right, and center, which lesser skilled players obviously do, which is why you always balance and look at the top, the best players, because that's where you get the best data, because they don't make hardly any mistakes. And when you watch those types of players playing, you can see survivors can just run riot and do whatever they want. You know, and the problem is the killers cannot get their MMR to the same level that survivors can, because of the imbalances of the game. The almost the skill ceiling, if you like, the skill ceiling for survivor is much higher than it is for killer. Now, this also forces these killers down in MMR, so they're actually ending up, most of the time, killers are actually matching against a group of survivors that are worse than them, which is why to 90% of the player base, it feels like the game is heavily killer-sided. But it's not. You're just going against a killer you shouldn't be going against, a much better killer than what your survivor team is, because the top end is knocking them down so much in MMR. And that's why it seems like it's so killer-sided. That's the only way I can think of explaining it. So what you actually need to do is you need to buff killer so that the better killers can actually get their MMR up and stay up with these top survivors, so that you then actually go against a lesser skilled killer, if that makes sense, which would actually make your games easier. I know that sounds crazy. Like, I'm basically saying buff killer and you'll get easier games as a survivor. And you're like, well, trust me, that is literally how it works, especially with MMR. But people, I don't think, believe that, or they can't see that. So just turn MMR off, and then we can just go back to the old-fashioned matchmaking where you get what you get and whatever. That would still be better than the mess we've got now. But yeah, so that's Dead by Daylight, and I don't know, maybe they'll do something to fix that game, but it really does seem like they just, again, care about money, right? They're always turning out the cosmetics, the new chapters, and trying to get new licenses, which is obviously they have to do that. It's a business, like we've already talked about. But at some point, you have to look at how many. I don't know what the numbers are. I mean, they're obviously losing players, but maybe as for every player they lose, they gain a new player, maybe. And obviously, newer players aren't going to know how good the game was, 2, 3, 4 years ago. So they're just going to think today's is the new norm. So maybe that's what happens. I don't know. But I would really like it if they just took the time and resources to maybe, address some of the balance of that game and make it more fun again. But we'll have to sort of see what they do. But I also do understand they need to turn out content. If you're making a video game today and you are not turning out content, your game is not going to succeed. We've got this new Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which comes out, I think, August time. There's a lot of hype around the game. People are really excited for it. I think a lot of people even streamers and content creators are looking to maybe make that their main game. it looks, from what I've seen, it looks a fun game. I'm sure it will do well. It looks a very good game for streaming. But I tell you now, it doesn't matter how good the game is if they don't have content coming out regularly for it. It's not going to succeed. It just won't, because people today, they want content all the time. And DBD is living proof of that. It doesn't matter to a degree how bad or broken your game is. Once you have an established, player base, as long as you're turning out that content, people will keep playing and lapping it up. So anyone that is working on a new video game, if you happen to come across this video, maybe heed that advice. And I would, if I was releasing a video game today, I would make sure I had the next year of content already ready to go, almost, so that the game would come out, and then 2-3 months after that, there'd be another big update for it, maybe some small updates with bug fixes, obviously, at the start. And then every 3 months, I'd have that content drop that would already be mostly finished in advance. And then for that year, we could be working on new content if the game's doing well, something like that. But anyway, so that's my thoughts on that. Now, the other game that I play, FIFA, I don't even know where to begin with this game. This game is absolutely wild. I love football. I've been a big football fan for a long time now. I don't really support any team. Technically, I support Manchester United. Don't hold it against me. My dad supports Manchester United, so I needed a team. So it was like, whatever, But I don't really. I just like watching football. I like watching certain players. Zlatan Ibrahimovic is one of my favourite players, if not my favourite player of all time. So I would, follow him when he was at AC Milan, Paris Saint-Germain. Obviously, he came to Man United as well. And I love football. So I've been playing FIFA on and off for several years now. Well, I mean, quite a while, really. But that game is wild. And the community around that game is crazy. And I'm convinced that it's the game that makes the community so toxic, because I can't believe that people are just arseholes. I can't believe that people today are just born arseholes. I can't believe that. I refuse to believe that. It must be the game, because if you play a game and you get game after game where you're going against someone who's being toxic to you, and for those of you that don't play FIFA, I'll just give you one of the biggest examples I can think of off the top of my head is what people will do is, say they're losing a game and they manage to get a lucky goal and equalise. They will then, but they know they're not going to win because they can tell you're better. They will just quit at 1-1, say, which means obviously they get the loss, but because they quit, you also don't get the win. That's just the way it works in FIFA. Don't ask me why, but that's how it is. I'll give you one other example. So they have a cup, which they're doing at the moment. It's been a thing they've done throughout FIFA this year. You get 5 games a day, every day for a week, and you have to get 10 wins. So you've got 5 games, 7 days, you need 10 wins. All right. So it should be quite simple. There's MMR, obviously. So the higher division of rivals you're in, I think it matches you up with that. But I also feel like the matchmaking is somewhat tied around how many wins you have. So if it's 3 days in and you've only got 1 win out of your 15 games, it will try and match you with someone else that's only managed to get 1 win and things like that, right? Now, the caveat with this current cup is you have to start with 3 goalkeepers in your team. And most people don't, well, not most, but some people, they don't even bother to read the small print. So they're going into this cup without having 3 goalkeepers. So even if they win, obviously all you do is at the start of the game, you sub 2 of them off, and that's fine. But people aren't going in with the 3 goalkeepers. So even if they win, it doesn't count towards the objective. Now, I had a guy do this yesterday with me, and I messaged him at half time and I said, dude, you don't have 3 goalkeepers. He was beating me. He was better than me. He was beating me. Hands up, 3-1 up he was. And I messaged him, I said, even if you win, it's not going to count. And he goes, oh, yeah, no, I forgot. He goes, oh, thanks for letting me know. And I was like, okay. He goes, I'm still going to beat you anyway, though. And I'm like, okay, yeah. Have a nice day, dude, And he did. He went on and whooped me 6-1 or whatever. I mean, I didn't really try after that. It was just, But what kind of... I don't know. I don't know. But that's why I say, but if you go up against that kind of toxicity time after time after time, would you not, maybe then become a bit toxic yourself. That's the only logical explanation that I've got. And so toxicity breeding toxicity, I guess, which is caused by the video game. Because EA could easily make it so that if you don't have the required, criteria in your team, like the 3 goalkeepers, it just won't let you go into the mode. They do it with other modes. They do it with other things, like, they say they'll put like you can only have 1 lone player, and if you try to go in with more than 1 lone player, it won't let you. So why couldn't they just have, in this particular mode, you need 3 goalkeepers. If you don't, it won't let you go in. That would have solved that problem. Why on earth they haven't made it so that if somebody rage quits at a draw, whoever doesn't quit gets the win? That would fix that as well. It just seems to me like they want this stuff in the game. And the only thing that I can think of that would make any sense, because I don't believe that EA care about anything other than money. They don't want like that in the game because they want people to be toxic to each other. Just, it's because of money. So I can only think that the reason why they do it is because they feel like if people are getting mad because they're getting all this, stuff happening to them, they'll go and spend FIFA points to try and get players to better their team so that they've got a better chance of winning. That's the only logical explanation I've got. But other than that, I don't know. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff like that in FIFA. We haven't even talked about the possibility of DDA, dynamic difficulty adjustments. Some people believe it's in the game, some people don't. Personally, I don't know what it is, but all I know is there is definitely something in the game that affects how your players play and feel, not just in the game, but also like at certain intervals of the game. Like, look how many times you'll score a goal in the 45th minute or the 90th minute. That's not because you're just amazing at that time. It's because something happens in the game to increase your chances of scoring if you're in possession, which is why a lot of the good players, around about the 43rd minute, they will try and keep possession of the ball, and then just before half time, try and score, because they know there's something happens that increases their chance. I don't know if it's DDA scripting, I don't know what, but there's something in the game that makes your players... I've had it both ways. I've had games where my players can't move, they can't make a pass, every rebound goes back to my opponent, while meanwhile my opponent's team are doing pirouettes like a ballerina, can dribble like Messi, and it's just crazy. And I'm like, I don't know. And I know that there's something, because I've had it the other way around. I can tell as well. My players all of a sudden are running around like crazy, that I'm getting every rebound. My dribbling is insane. My players feel like they're absolutely on fire, whereas my opponent, I can tell, is struggling to move and dribble and whatnot. So it happens both ways. So I'm convinced there is something going on. I don't know if it's DDA, I don't know if it's scripting, I don't know if it's lag, because obviously a lot of people play on console, on Wi-Fi, and if you're on a decent wired connection, maybe there's some kind of lag compensation that EA try to do to make the game fair on the person with the poorer connection. I don't know, but all I know is it pisses me off. It pisses a lot of people off, and I don't know. So that's that. So that's why I feel like video games are just not fun. And it might be me, it might be because I'm older now, and I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. Are you guys, feeling anything about like what I'm talking about and what I'm feeling, or are video games all wonderful to you? You think they're great, you're enjoying them, and there's nothing wrong with them? I'd be interested to know. Don't just be toxic and say, oh, you're an old man, this, that, and the other. I know I'm an old man, and I know that, I moan and whinge and stuff like that, but I generally want to just have constructive conversation with people about what they think about the state of video games right now. And I also want to talk about movies and TV shows as well briefly, because those are 2 other pastimes that I've always enjoyed. And now, I enjoy a good blockbuster movie the same as anyone, right? If a new Avengers movie comes out in the summer or whatnot, I'm going to watch it, I guarantee it, right? I love them. Nothing wrong with that at all. All the explosions and, all that stuff, I'm all down for that, right? But I also do like a good movie with good plot, good story, good character development, something that I can come away with afterwards and make me think. And I feel like those kind of movies just don't get made anymore. And And I was thinking about it, and it's the same for the same, and it's the same with TV shows, right? Although TV shows, I do feel there is better. I've definitely seen a lot of TV shows that are more like, you know, thinking material, because I think there's a lot more platforms for TV shows. So, I think there is still a world where they can exist. But in terms of movies, if you're making a big blockbuster movie and you want people to go to the cinema and see it and make money, which, like the new Flash movie that just came out, for instance, you need to have all the CGI and all the explosions and all this stuff, because that's what all the kids seem to want. And not just kids. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of adults as well that like that. Like, I like it too, but I'm also down for watching a good story. It doesn't need to have all these crazy explosions in and stuff like that. But that seems to be, and I understand. I was thinking about it, Steve. If you were going to make a movie today, and it was going to be a big blockbuster movie, and you wanted millions of dollars spent on it, and you wanted it to do really well at the cinema, would I make a movie like what I want? No, would I? Hell, no one would go and watch it. I'd make a movie like The Avengers, because that's what people are going to want to go and see, right? So I get it. Same with video games. I don't know exactly off the top of my head what video game I would like, but I've got a rough idea. And I can tell you now, I wouldn't make it. If you said, Steve, here's £100 million, you've got a whole development team here, you can make any video game you want, but it has to make money, I would not make a video game like what I want, because it just would not make money. So I get it. But that doesn't mean I have to enjoy a shit video game either. But it does leave me with a very specific problem, where video games are not fun. There's very few movies coming out that I enjoy because of what we just talked about. TV shows are still, they're kind of okay. But, we're still not sure how the future of TV shows is going to go once all these streaming platforms get themselves sorted out. So the future of the kind of entertainment that I like is not looking great. I hate to say it, folks, but the way things are going, I might have to start going to the gym. That's a scary thought. Don't get me wrong, I could definitely do with it. So yeah, that's a large part of the reason as to why I've not been streaming much, because I've not been enjoying games enough because I won't do this fake shit, guys. All right, I tell you that now. A lot of these streamers are streaming these video games and they're smiling and they're making out like it's the best video games and sliced bread, and it's because it's their job and they need to keep you all engaged and they need to pretend like they're enjoying themselves, because who wants to watch somebody playing a video game they're not enjoying and is miserable? So it's their job. I get it, but I can't do that. I just can't. So that's why I've not. But if somebody ever made a really good game that I really enjoyed playing and I could play it and genuinely enjoy myself, I'd stream it. Yeah, sure. So yeah, hopefully that explains a little bit about where I've been and what I've been up to and where my head's kind of at. But it does still beg the question, what am I going to do going forward? Because I love having conversations with other people about, certain topics. And that is one of the biggest things that I miss about making content and streaming. And that is, I don't get to speak to other people. I don't have many friends. I live in a small town. I don't get to have many conversations, so I do miss that. So what am I going to do going forwards? I really don't know. I was thinking, there's a lot of stuff going on in the world right now. I could make some kind of, videos regarding that, my reactions and thoughts about it. But most of that shit is all just depressing. We don't know the truth. A lot of it is just what the media wants us to believe. The real truth, we don't know. We'll probably never find out, I just saw a video this morning. Apparently, the American government's going to come out this summer and tell us all that ET's real, and the aliens are among us and whatnot. Well, that'd be cool, wouldn't it? That'd be a summer blockbuster. So who knows? Maybe the future of Big Steve Gaming is, we talk about the world affairs and aliens and I don't know what, submarines and all this. I don't know. I'm so scared to even say half the stuff that I want to say, because I just know how people are and how crazy they are. And if you don't say the right thing, or say the certain thing you want to say the right way, or if you're not perfectly politically correct, you will get crucified on the internet. That's just a fact. And I just don't think I'm down for that. The one thing that I hate is having to think every time before I speak, just so that I use the right words or the right, I hate it. But you have to do it in this day and age. Otherwise, people don't even care about what you're saying. They just want to listen so that they can try and catch you out and get that, I got you moment. You said this, you're actually this, the fact that you just slipped up or misspoke or whatever, that doesn't matter. You will get hung out to dry. So I don't know if I really want to leave myself open to all that or not. But I do want to make content, and I do want to chat to people that are down for, fun discussions. And it doesn't have to always be about serious shit, I'm down to talk about movies. I'm down to talk about TV shows. I don't know, maybe you guys could suggest some stuff that, I'll tell you one interest that I've always, a passing kind of interest that I've always had is like astronomy. When I was a kid, I used to love astronomy. I used to have a little telescope. I used to read books. I actually went and saw Patrick Moore a couple of times. Went to his house. He invited me up, and the guy was amazing. He was also games master as well. Let's not forget that. Patrick Moore, what a legend. So there's lots of things that interest me, especially as I've gotten older. I feel like my mind is definitely curious now about a lot of things that I never used to give a shit about. But I do also feel like the world today that we live in is crazy as fuck. So if you are out there, guys, in this world that we call the internet, please be careful. Please, stay safe. Make sure that if you're an adult and you've got kids and they're online, make sure that you're keeping an eye on them, because there is some crazy shit going on. And you may not always know what your kids are doing, who they're speaking to, or anything. So please just keep an eye on them, and try not to get too down with what people say on the internet. Try not to take everything personally. It's really not worth it. Just, have a look, keep your eyes open, take information on board, sure. But just, take it for what it is, take it with a pinch of salt. And unless it's absolutely, you're convinced that it's gospel, I wouldn't let it worry you too much. But anyway, I think I'm going to wrap it up now, guys. We've been talking for nearly 40 minutes. Blimey, I'm going to go and get a drink and maybe make myself a bit of breakfast or something. And then I've got a couple of videos that I need to, including this one, that I need to edit and get up for you guys on the channel. But again, if you aren't following me, I'm on Twitter. That's the best place, at Big Steve Gaming. Make sure you give this video a like. I'd appreciate that. Make sure you sub to this channel, turn those notifications on, and make sure you are following me over on Twitch as well. I think that's Big Steve Gaming UK. Links are all below in the description, because we will be doing some streams in the future. It's just figuring out exactly what I want to do. So again, in the comments, let me know if you've got any ideas, things you'd like to see me stream, videos you'd like to see me make, content that you would be interested in. Give me some ideas. I'm up for it, and also, discussions about anything that's, relevant, really. But most of all, guys, thank you all for sticking with me. Look after each other, stay safe, and I will see you guys really soon. Take care.